Now, this listener question comes from Sam, SCG, from the N-E Café thread on the N-Europe forums, and he has asked us, with the recent news of BioShock Collection coming to the Switch, and I can add in Metro Redux there as well, another 2 games that are coming to the Switch, what other third-party games from other platforms which have never seen a release on a Nintendo platform would you like to see ported across? And we quickly talked about this before we started recording, Nick, and we've kind of taken a different tact on this. I've gone for some more modern games, and you have some more retro games in your mind.
Yeah.
Do you want to get us started? What would you like to see?
I think one thing that would make me really happy, which we've never actually seen really from Nintendo in any of the virtual consoles, is I would like them to get their act together and try to sort out licenses for not franchise games, but like games that had some sort of license back in the 80s or 90s. I'm thinking like Disney stuff, things like that, because I think like I don't understand or see the point of these games being lost to history. Like, yeah, okay, they've already been on a Nintendo system, that's fine, but I would like to see some of them come back, especially stuff like Aladdin, stuff like DuckTales, like the original, the classic versions, The Lion King even, because we didn't get the SNES one, did we, with that collection?
No, we didn't. No.
Oh, it was Aladdin, we didn't get the SNES.
It was Aladdin, yeah. I can't remember. It was one of them we didn't get a SNES version, yeah. And there's these little games as well, like Rescue Rangers, which I did play as we rented them from Blockbuster back in the day. And, you know, those kind of Disney games like that, Rescue Rangers, and I'd never see them again. Yeah, I'd like to play them again, though.
And N64 stuff, you know, do a deal with Rare, just get the stuff on the system, like pay whatever it takes, because you're going to make your money back. It's not, I think anybody who thinks that GoldenEye is not worth paying all the companies that are involved in it. Who is it? It's Activision, it's the film company, it's Rare, Microsoft now. Just sort it out and get it released. Do you know what I mean?
So you're basically holding hope for that Rare Replay collection.
I think it could and should come.
It should, yes.
Because I think it would run, first of all, the main thing. Even the HD versions, the remakes of Perfect Dark and Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo Nuts and Bolts, which was a 360 game. I'd like to play it. So, you know.
There's a lot on there that I haven't played, yeah.
And also, I would be happy as well to see, I know this really doesn't have much to do with Nintendo, I guess, but I would love to see some original Xbox games, PS2 games, 360, PS3, Dreamcast
would be good. There was talk of the Sega Ages range adding some Dreamcast games, and they're not that far off. Quite possibly we might see the first one this year.
Really, there is no reason why any game should be stuck in the past, especially ones that are like well loved and well respected, because they will sell again if they're released again. You know, if you can do it the cheap way and just like emulate it basically, or you can go for a full remaster or a remake and, you know, bring it into a new era. So anything basically. I'd love to see the Metal Gear Solid franchise, like the whole collection.
Yeah.
On the Switch.
That's something that's never really interested me. I did play a Metal Gear Solid. It must have been Twin Snakes. But too much cutscenes for me. But but if they did do a full series, you know, 1 to whatever on the Switch HD and all that, yes, I would end up picking it up, you know, just to see what it's all about as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it's starting. You know, there are so many collections now. Like we spoke about Mega Man collection, Castlevania I've picked up and I've been really enjoying that. Capcom Beat 'em Up collection we spoke about as well. All the Final Fantasy games finally are coming out, which makes me really happy. I'm really pleased to play them finally.
It does make other things happening, like you said, more likely, because these are happening. As long as they're successful, which they have been, other companies will go, oh, let's stick our stuff on there as well.
It's just a case of sorting out the licenses. And the one thing that I would like more than anything is N64 and GameCube games. And any problems with licensing to be sorted out. But I guess that's just wishful thinking most of all. But Rare Replay would be the number one, top of the list that I'd like to see again. For sure.
That Disney Afternoon Collection I'd like to see, which is all those kind of Aladdin and DuckTales and Rescue Rangers and all those kind of Tailspin or whatever else is on there.
I'll tell you one game that I would love to play again. And I don't know if it's in that Disney collection or not, but there was a SNES game which was very similar to Zelda called Goof Troop.
Ah, yes, that's very well highly regarded as well.
Such a good game. I had that as a kid, and you could play co-op as well. Like a lot of levels were built around co-op. Fantastic game. So just stuff like that, get it sorted. Speak to Capcom, Disney, get it out.
Come on, Disney don't want to throw away money. Yeah,
yeah, right. Yeah. They always want to, as much as possible.
So I went for a slightly different tact and more modern era games. Tell me what you think of these. Now, I played Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Mass Effect Trilogy. Put the whole trilogy on there. I don't know why it isn't on there,
Could you enjoy the third one without playing the first two?
Yes, you could. There was like a little interactive comic book in the beginning where you could make the most poignant decisions to inform your character of what he is doing, and then you just carry on the story. So it basically tells you the story of the first two games in the first 5 minutes.
Wow.
It gives you everything, and then you just move on. But no, there's the systems in the game and the way you're traveling between different planets and all that, the RPG mechanics, the way you employ your other characters in a slight strategy tactical-esque manner. You put them in different places in a kind of third person view. Very nice, very well executed, and beautiful on the Wii U as well. So there's no reason why stuff like that can't be on the Switch. The other big one is, like, for myself personally, is the Star Wars Battlefront game. I just want to run around as a stormtrooper and shoot Ewoks.
To be honest, there are lots of Star Wars games I'd like to see ported over, classic ones. Yeah. Battlefront, not so much, but the RPG that was on the Xbox, Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see that. The GameCube and Wii games, obviously, not Wii games, the GameCube games and the N64, was it Rogue Squadron?
Rogue Squadron games, yeah.
Absolutely. Star Wars Racer.
Oh, the Pod Racer, yeah.
From back in the day, fantastic. Yeah. I've got that on Steam.
Yeah,
looks like
game.
an N64 game.
Other things, I played Dead Space Extinction on the Wii, which is the on-rails shooter, and loved it. It was, played it from start to end. The decapitation mechanics were a first for Wii games. And so bring the Dead Space trilogy. I don't think number 3 held up as well as 1 and 2, but I'd like to see 1 and 2 on the Switch.
I finished the first one on 360, and when I played through it at the time, very, very unique and interesting experience. Yeah. Actually, recently, Colin Moriarty did a retrospective on Dead Space with his brother, where they spoke mostly about the first game, and it's really good. Like, they go into all the details of why Dead Space is fantastic, and it's really interesting and worth listening.
That was an Xbox 360 game, wasn't it?
And PS3
and PS3, yeah. Last generation, not this generation. Because it was one of my best games of the decade. Batman Arkham, Batman Arkham City. I'd like to see the Batman Arkham Collection come to the Switch as well. Yeah, get the trilogy on you. Yeah, I would love to see that. Would love to play the first one. Never played the first one. Like to play through the second one again. It's that good. And I know the third one again loses its way apparently, but still. More Batman for me would be lovely. What else hasn't been on a Nintendo system? I put down here Geometry Wars, but that has been on the NDS. But I would like to play a more modern Geometry Wars, which ran better. I played that.
I think the Wii had one as well, didn't it? Wasn't it released on the Wii?
Maybe you're right there. That's something I didn't pick up.
But yeah, Geometry Wars, I love that on the. I played that on the 360 as well. Yeah, I mean there are many games, and I think, to be honest, how everything's going now, especially in the last couple of weeks with Horizon and Death Stranding coming to the PC, it seems like if in the next 4 or 5 years the exclusive game might lose its prowess among other companies, where maybe something will be exclusive for a limited period, but I can't ever see Mario or Zelda appearing on my PC.
No chance.
So I wonder if in the future, Sony and Microsoft, or what's it called, that new Epic Game Store, will have like a timed exclusive of a new game, and then eventually it'll just go on to everything else. And maybe, they'll port it to Switch as well.
Yeah.
Eventually.
There's just so many games to choose from, I could fly through like Borderlands, Dishonored, Persona 5, people have been crying out. Half-Life. I played the first Half-Life on an old PC, but Half-Life 1 and 2, but that'll be good. Fallout. You kind of like the Outer Worlds and that. Fallout 3 would be good with the New Vegas stuff as well. It's just, there are too many games.
Mm-hmm.
Any other more modern ones that you would fancy that I haven't mentioned, Nick?
Not that I can really think of off the top of my head. I think I spoke about it last time, but Master Chief Collection's on PC, so why not put it on Switch?
Yep.
Yeah, if it would work, if they could port it. It's good that we're getting Doom, the new one. It's probably not going to run that great, but
little bit of news on that. One of the directors of the game has said it is coming out later on the Switch. It's coming March 20th on everything else: PC, Xbox, PlayStation 4, and then. But he said a little bit. He said not too long, but we want to finish the game on all the other platforms first, then hand it to our partners who are Panic Button, who also did Rocket League and the first Doom as well.
Trust them.
And he says, we implicitly trust them, but we want to give them the full final version before they start translating it to the Switch. Mm-hmm. So I could see that being at least 2 months after.
I think one thing to be very, very hopeful for in the future is scaling. And I think that's going to become much more common as Xbox and PlayStation move into, because it seems, nobody really knows at the minute, but it seems to me like Xbox is going to have tiered systems. Kind of like they do now with the X and the S. And they'll have one game which runs better on the X, but also runs on the S. And I think that's how they're going to embrace the future. And maybe you'll see them they'll have a really powerful console, they'll have a middle range console, and then they'll have a streaming box or something. And as developers build games, they're obviously going to be scaling to each system. And I think that for the Switch is very good news. Because if they can get a sort of low res version of a game onto the Switch, then that would be good. The only thing I worry about is CPU, if it's got enough power behind it. But maybe we'll see a revision come out.
That's it. It'll take less tinkering with as well to get a finalized Switch version out. With those scaling abilities, maybe it won't be a one-on-one and just go straight on there. But with everybody having a similar chipset as well, the similar kind of CPU and GPU architecture, it makes it a lot easier. And whereas Nintendo haven't favored that in the past, as their N64, GameCube, and Wii and Wii U architectures were so different from the competition, it made porting much, much more difficult.
Yeah.
A much easier prospect these days. Yeah.
So that's good. So we can be, we spoke about it before, that list of the games that are coming out next year is actually not so bad, and there's a few that have been on on the current gen consoles, like the Outer Worlds and Doom. So, it's not over. We could still see Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5 eventually.
I just like to see the first Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, don't worry about 2 yet. Just bring the first one over. Yeah, that was the last generation, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead. And there's a couple of other ones. Tomb Raider. I'd like to see the new Tomb Raider games on the Switch as well. Mm-hmm. And EA, what are you doing? You obviously don't love Nintendo. Bring a Madden game. For me, a FIFA or a Madden, I'd much prefer to play a Madden.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I would never play FIFA anyway, but I liked Madden back. Me and my friend used to play Madden a lot back in the day. I wouldn't mind having a Madden game as well.
And I've never played a modern Madden, so I'd like to see how it still stands up. And apparently people talk about it, it's a praiseworthy game.
13, I think, was the last one I played. Something like that.
Mine was well before that.
Yeah. But it was good. No, it was good fun. Definitely better with two people.
I'd also like to see some arcade games come in. Just like the Capcom beat-em-ups. They didn't bother putting the NES or SNES versions or whatever games they had. They put the arcade versions of them, which obviously run like much I can better, remember them, and many more enemies. And the two games that are definitely coming, they haven't given us a date yet, but thank you, Sega, House of the Dead. 1 and 2. Yeah, the original arcade games with HD polish. So they'll be looking better than the arcade versions. Looking forward to those.
But this is what I was saying before. The fact that games are so expensive to make now hopefully means we're going to get a lot more indie games and a lot more companies just saying, okay, let's spend a little bit of money and put this old game on the Switch or on modern consoles. Let's upgrade it a little bit. It seems like a more sensible investment than pouring millions and millions of pounds into a AAA game.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.